I'm Action.
And I'm Set. And
Happy New Year, everybody.
Well, 2019. And just honestly, it seems like we were just sitting down to record the 2018 video when now it's 2019.
Where does the time go?
And really, 2018 just kind of feels like January lasted 5 months as a meme I saw, and then it was literally just all the other months just kind of flew right by.
Kind of blended into one, really.
And while we were a little too busy this year, I think we got some awesome videos out of it.
Yes, we did.
I think I kind of stretched myself a little thin with coverage, but I enjoyed every moment of it. And one thing for 2019, we will not be having as insane of a year as 2018. We went into 2018 saying we wouldn't be as insane as 2017, and somehow
we wound up, but it wound up being the reverse of what we actually said, so...
And while Action wasn't able to partake in a few different things this year...
Other projects going on, you know how that goes.
This year, we're kind of hoping Action can make a rebound and come with us to certain spots because, well, it's better having two cameramen than just one.
Amen to that.
So, 2019 being said, me and Action are already talking about trips and stuff like that we want to go on and potential stuff like that, are we not?
We are.
And right now, just to put it out there, because I'm pretty sure a few people are going to ask when they hear we're planning about certain events, no, we will not be in Ogden, Utah for the Golden Spike rededication. No, we will not be anywhere near it, probably to see the big boy on its inaugural excursion. As fun and as cool as what it may be, I think after chasing the 844 this past year, at some point I'd like to see the big boy, but I think it's going to be maybe a year or two, or depending where it goes in the system, because I think it's absolutely going to be a mess going out to Ogden.
More than likely, it's just way too many people, and it's going to be a zoo, basically. It's
going to be more of a zoo than Steam in the Valley and the Frontiers Day combined.
And we're not exactly sure we're ready for that just yet.
So, while we've talked about our plans, I'll say this: in the next week, be expecting some brand new content, as I will be going on an adventure soon. With that being said, of the only Steam events, I'm pretty sure some of you can already guess the event I'm going to already this early in the season. But for those who don't know, stick along for the ride. They will actually be pushed above every other video we currently have in the queue. So that being said, it's become an annual tradition every year for our New Year's video to talk about our top 5 favorite videos, is it not?
It is.
And I'm going to hand it over to you, Action, because it's time to start talking about our top
5 videos.
Correct.
All right, my number 5, I think, would have to be the 844 ferry move that we caught. That was kind of like our first taste of railfanning in Denver, which turned out to be some of the most intense. I'll get to that later. What I liked about it was a good starting point for the chase in the coming days. That was a lot of fun. But number 4 would have to be plane spotting at Denver Airport. That was our first time plane spotting at an international airport, and I wasn't impressed with the shots that I got. I wasn't able to get as close to the planes as I could at, say, Buffalo, but the shots that I did get, I actually kind of liked how they turned out, while some of them more than others. I would have liked to have gotten a little bit closer, but maybe next time we'll see if we can get close to the airport. My number 3 would have to be the Viscose 6 Veterans Day excursion, the second day. I got some pretty cool shots of the train going by the open cornfields. The amount of smoke that thing was putting out that day made for some really, really good footage. My number 2 would have to be the plane spotting at Buffalo Airport from November 4th. Seth and I went out there kind of not really expecting to get very much, but there was actually a 757 that landed there, which is kind of a rarity for Buffalo Airport. I think it was one of the sports teams in the area. It's not often that a big plane like that lands at Buffalo Airport. And they were using runway 5, so it actually turned around right in front of us. So we got a really, really good view of it. It was really close to us. And it's always cool to see the bigger planes. But my number 1 has to be the Cheyenne Frontier Days 844 chase. We were going in expecting that chase to be pretty intense, and it was. We were expecting a lot of people, but the number of people there was bigger than what we originally thought. And the pacing shots that we got were just absolutely so much fun to get. I mean, driving down the road, me sticking my camera out the window as we're going along the road, and the static shots that I got of it going by at speed were really cool. And Colorado is just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful state. So that's my top 5. My 3 honorable mentions in no particular order were the Forney Museum of Transportation, just because they had a lot of cool stuff, not just trains, but they had automobiles, planes. They had an amphicar there, for God's sake. Planespotting, June 30th. It was a Southwest 737 that had the paint scheme of the Texas flag on it, which was kind of cool. And the Wings Over the Rockies Air and Space Museum. If you've never been there, you should really check it out. They've got a lot of cool stuff there too. They've got a B-52 sitting outside. A lot of old military planes, and old F-14, one of my favorite fighters of all time. So yeah, those are my top 3 honorable mentions. So I'm going to hand things over to Seth right now. He'll give you his top 5.
Oh, top 5 and top 3 honorable mentions of 2018. Where do I even begin? Because this year was just absolutely insane. Well, let's begin with number 5. The Nickel Plate Road 765 Joliet Rocket 2018. What? I'm picking the Joliet Rocket over Steam in the Valley? Well, you are right. While Steam in the Valley was great this year and I absolutely had a fun time with my grandfather, I like the Joliet Rocket better. I'm usually one when it comes down for steam locomotives. I like hearing a steam locomotive work. But at the same time, too, the Joliet Rocket was one of those rare events where you got to see a steam locomotive at actual track speed on the main line this year. I had that in there after the whole Amtrak Fandango. Actually, I would like to point out that we were probably one of the only few people who caught the only 2 mainline excursions in the United States this year, the 844 with the Cheyenne Frontier Days excursion and the 765 with the Joliet Rocket excursions in Chicago. My grandfather and I went to both, well, because no one else could go to either, and I rode in the open air car. What was great about riding the open air car when I could ride an open air car at any other railroad, particularly behind the 765 and the Joliet Rocket? Well, I'm glad you asked. With the 765 accelerating at speeds of 50 to 60 miles an hour, it was great sticking my head out the window, and I'm sure as you all saw from the video, it was a great time. The Joliet Rocket really is almost impossible to get a second shot. I know a few people that have done that, so my grandfather and I strategically just planned out different shots over the day, and only one shot got completely ruined, and that was when some person accidentally bumped into him at his first try at Tinley Park. But watching the 765 at speed was great, and during the final ferry move, because the engineer was running out of time for him to run, the 765 reached speeds of over 65 miles an hour is what we were told by Metra. It was a great time had by the 2 of us. I hope the Joliet Rocket happens again so I could take action next year, because it is a fun time. And if you get a chance to see the Joliet Rocket, you should, because it's one of the few experiences, if it does happen next year, where you can ride behind a steam locomotive at track speed. You can set up somewhere along the line and catch the 765 at track speed. My number 4 would be the Central Railroad of New Jersey 113 Santa trains. I only shot this about a month ago, literally a month ago, on December 1st, 2018. What inspired me to go down there was a few videos I'd seen during the 2017 season. I have heard of the Central Railroad of New Jersey 113 and it being the largest operational 060 switcher in the United States. And from the videos I initially saw, it was downright impressive. An 060 switcher has no leading wheels and no wheels to support the cab. The driving wheels solely support the whole locomotive. And the thing that really impressed me in 2017 was the steamboat whistle that was put on there. I actually prefer steamboat whistles. I just love the sound of them, and to me it just sounds so cool to hear on a steam locomotive. Partially this is because of the video I had as a kid all about fast-moving trains with the Western Maryland number 734. But I wanted to see the 113 with that whistle. This year the 113 did the usual, it's some sort of kayaking event where it goes to Schuylkill Haven as people kayak to somewhere in Pennsylvania along the river. If I remember correctly, I seem to see that they do this every year. They also went to the annual Schuylkill Haven Borough Days. Even though they did not pull excursions there, the engine was under steam for people to tour the cab. And the few times I did see the 113 operate this year, she did not have that steamboat whistle. I was hoping the steamboat whistle would come back for the Christmas excursions. The other reason I wanted to see it was the 250th anniversary number board, which was on the locomotive, which was in anniversary of the 250th anniversary of anthracite coal, which the 113 actually burns. And to my knowledge, the 113 is the only steam locomotive operational in the United States that still burns anthracite coal. So with that being said, I really wanted to see the 113 because it looked like it put on quite a show and I wanted to hear that steamboat whistle. Well, I was in luck. It had the steamboat whistle on the locomotive because one of the volunteers brought it that day, and it did not disappoint. Well, I wish there could have been just a little snow on the ground. I absolutely had a great day chasing the 113 around Schuylkill Haven and Minersville areas of Pennsylvania, and I had a great time with my friend Railfan Tommy. My number 3 would have to be the Iowa Interstate 6988 Mitchellville steam locomotive experience back in August. This was actually the first Chinese steam locomotive I've ever seen. I've known of the presence of Chinese steam locomotives in the United States, and most of them are younger than the steam locomotives you are typical to seeing running, like the 765 is about 74 years old, the 1225 just turned 77. I could go on down the list. Most of these locomotives are in the range of 20 to 30 years old. The 6988 is 32 years old, as it was built in 1986 by the Datong Locomotive Works. In 2011, they Americanized the locomotive, and I actually really like the Americanization. They kept the Chinese smoke deflectors up, they took the shrouding off, and they gave it an American headlight, number boards, and everything else. Well, this was the QJ's triumphant return because the 6988 has not ran since 2012, and its sister last ran in 2013. I have a bias, obviously, towards the 6988. Initially was on the fence about this, and after talking with a few friends, I decided instead of going to the 765's open house for members, I decided to just go to Iowa, which was absolutely nuts. I split up the drive. I drove 9 hours the one night, got 2 hours of sleep, woke up at 4 a.m. in the morning just to make it to Mitchellville to catch the train moving out onto the main line. And then I drove back halfway that night and drove halfway back early the next morning. Yeah, I was running on coffee and fumes. But it was absolutely worth it. Like the 113, I was actually really more impressed with the 6988 than what I thought I would have been. It was pretty much a one-shot chase, except the first run I caught him on. I somehow caught him at 2 locations. But I thought it was a great video. I'm glad to see the 6988 is running again this year, and I hope they can get more excursions. And well, even though I like the 6988 more than its sister, the 7081, I do hope the 7081 pulls some excursions again too, because it is in its original Chinese appearance. Number 2, this one might shock a lot of you that it was my number 2. The Union Pacific 844 Cheyenne Frontier Days Excursion 2018. What is wrong with me? I'm sure a few of you are asking. The 844 is my favorite locomotive. I grew up with the locomotive. I've told multiple times that the 844 was my favorite locomotive. I grew up with it on Shining Time Station. I've seen it in so much media since then, but my main memory will always be of the 844 rolling over the 844 in the opening and closing of Shining Time Station. I absolutely love that helicopter shot of the 844 during Shining Time Station in the ending credits. So why didn't this one make my number 1? And why is it my number 2? While it was a great chase, there was just so much more I wish I would have done with it now. Hearing how much of a zoo it was and wanting to try and get a lot of footage instead of quality footage, we kind of decided to pace. That was when we had our whole team together, action, set, and roll. We could have set out on multiple spots on the line and gotten multiple shots, but instead, unfortunately, we decided to pace. And it's a decision I now regret, especially after now that might be the last Cheyenne Frontier Days excursion, because I hear the Denver Post has pulled the sponsorship. And this was before the 844 tragically killed a woman. But just because we paced it the entire time doesn't mean the footage was good. I did get some shots of it at track speed, like on the return trip. I just wish I could have done better with it, and now seeing other people's footage, I now know if I would have followed someone that I had met out there, we could have gotten more footage of him trackside, including him past the Purina Cat Chow building. While I hope the Cheyenne Frontier Days excursion happens again, I hope the 3 of us can go out to Denver again, because I would like to get it in multiple angles. I'm never going to concentrate solely on getting that much footage of pacing. I'm pretty proud of the footage I got, and I'm glad I was finally able to see my favorite steam locomotive. However, like stated, I'm pretty annoyed now that most of the footage was pacing. As someone who has kind of been turned off from pacing because of that incident, and because, well, really pacing does get old after a while, I will critique my own video. I hope it's not the last time we see 844, because I would really love to chase my favorite steam locomotive again, and I'm sure we'll have multiple times going into the future. For now, it was very satisfying. And now the number one video of 2018. Last year I told you my number one pick was actually Hey Arnold, the Jungle Movie. And I stand by that. That was the best video movie of 2017 for all of us 90s kids. If the Rocko's Modern Life movie would have been released this year, I probably would be telling you the same thing. Very huge Nick fan as a kid, as Action can attest. My number one video, if you would have asked me back in March, it would have been the second day of the Laro production photo charter with the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum. If you would have asked me in July, August, it would have still been the 844. And quite honestly, it would have been the 844 Giant Frontier Days excursion until this video in October, which I shot, and my buddy Jason Fields, the Nuga Railfan, tagged along. Yes, I just kind of gave it away too. The Southern 630 and 4501 doubleheader to Somerville on October 28th, 2018. That day was quite interesting. A lot of interesting incidents happened that day. There was a holdup at the junction for about 20 to 30 minutes. The air hose on one of the coaches kept breaking on the return trip, which added an hour onto the trip. But honestly, I had a great time shooting with Jason. Beforehand, I had chased the 4501 solely at the beginning of the month, and then I chased it solely the day beforehand. And the main reason for that was, number one, I did want to catch the 4501 solo on a Somerville excursion. I always wanted to catch a doubleheader. I also did that too to try and figure out what shots I wanted to get during the doubleheader chase, because really the doubleheader chase was my grand finale of vacations this year, as after that I used up all my vacation time for 2018. And with that being said, I really got together the best shots of both of the solo chases. Because of the lateness due to the air hose breaks, I actually think I got some better shots the way how the light held up, especially that shot of the 630 and 4501 emerging from Chickamauga Park during the return trip, which I right now will hold as my best shot I've gotten of 2018 and my best shot so far. It was just a great day, and my second best shot also comes from that chase. It was the shot at the bridge at night, where it wasn't exactly night, there was still light, it was dusk, and I thought the shot of the 630 and the 4501 coming across the bridge was perfect. Anyhow, that's my top 5 videos for 2018, and I do believe it is time for some honorable mentions. My number 3 honorable mention would have to be the Reading and Northern 425 on the fall foliage excursions in 2018. I chased the first day and I lucked out because the first weekend they had the Reading 6 chime on there. I initially did not like the Reading 6 chime whistle, but 425 is a major reason why I love the 6 chime. And the stack talk I got in that video was absolutely unbelievable on Hometown Hill. I think it was actually louder this year with the diesel and the extra coaches on it, where last year when I chased it, it was the Railfan special. Don't get me wrong, it was pretty loud both times, but I think it's louder when he's got to climb the grades with the diesel. My number 2 honorable mention would have to be that day back in July when I went to go chase the Strasburg 90 and the Norfolk and Western 475. My main reason for my second visit to Strasburg this year was to go see the Norfolk and Western 475. While the Strasburg 90 was in one of my favorite videotapes as a kid, all about fast-moving trains, the 475 was in the last Thomas the Tank Engine thing I saw as a kid, Thomas and the Magic Railroad. I actually didn't know it at first that the 475 was the locomotive in that movie, because I was more excited to see the 90 when I first went to the Strasburg Railroad in August of 2016. It wasn't until a little while afterwards that I found out the 475 was a steam locomotive used in the movie, which was the last Rainbow Sun, which the Union Pacific 844 and the Grand Canyon Railway 18 both played the part of the Rainbow Sun. The 475 was the last Rainbow Sun in the Shining Time Station Thomas the Tank Engine. And to be fair, I didn't even originally recognize the 475 after all these years, because the 475, when it was in the movie, the Thomas and the Magic Railroad, was still in its Pennsylvania Railroad appearance, is what I'd like to call it, because there was a while that the 475 and the 89 were both at a Pennsylvania Railroad appearance. Well, the 89 longer than the 475. But the 475 is such a unique engine. It is a 480 Mastodon type locomotive. The Norfolk and Western preferred these over the Mikado. That being said, I've always wanted to see the 475 after finding out it was a locomotive in the movie Thomas and the Magic Railroad. And, well, I guess you could say I had 3 attempts at seeing the locomotive. The first 2 were unsuccessful. First one, I was planning on going down in the summer of 2017, then decided against it. Second time I went down for the Red Ball Express and was hoping like crazy it would be the locomotive either pulling the hourly or pulling the charter, which it wasn't. And this year, I finally got my chance to see it. The main reason I wanted to see it so bad was because it was running out of flue time. It was originally supposed to go out at the end of last year, but the Strasburg Railroad decided to save the remaining 60 days and use it throughout 2018. While the 475 was on the half-hour trains, and I didn't get as much as a chase with it as I would have liked to, and I didn't get to ride behind it, which I was really hoping to do. I thought the 475 was actually really impressive in person. While the locomotive isn't as big as 765 or 1225 per se, it's amazing just how big this locomotive is. If one were to look at the cab arrangement is awkward. And like the 4501, its tender is not its original tender. It is a tender from a K-class Norfolk and Western. 475 put on a great show that day, as did the 90. And as much as I hate to say it, the 90 was the star of the video, even though I wanted to focus on the 475. The 90 put on one of the greatest shows I've ever seen the 90 put on as it left Groff's Grove during the 11 a.m. train. And after the 475 was put away for the day, I just got some amazing shots of the 90. And there was this one shot I got at the end of the video of the 90 as I went for a field shot as it went back to Strasburg. And in this shot, I also got a shot of the 90 and the sunset, which is one of my greatest shots from 2018. And my number one honorable mention would have to be the Pere Marquette 1225 Kerwood Highlander. I know this is my first top 5 video without the 1225. Action, how do you feel about that?
What the hell is wrong with you? It is what it is, I guess.
To say that I didn't have a fun time chasing the North Pole Express or the Kerwood Highlander this year would be absolutely wrong. I enjoyed both excursions. I just think, once again, the Kerwood Highlander is the ultimate excursion to chase the 1225. Everywhere this year, the fall foliage sucked, and the 1225, though...
Because we didn't really have a fall, but that's another story.
That is another story for another time. But the 1225 fails to ever not put on a show, even though I despise the flying number boards, and I wish they'd keep it in its original appearance. Mind you, I'm not someone who cares about the appearance of the locomotive. I just don't like flying number boards. But as you can see by my videos, I just enjoy chasing the 1225. I think it's a great locomotive. It's honestly, still my second favorite locomotive. That has not changed, even with seeing the 6988. But the 1225 during the Kerwood Highlander, you got some great light, and the weather that day was interesting. It started out all sunny, went cloudy. We had torrential rain during the break. Then as soon as the 1225 left again, we got rain, then we got hail, then it was clear the rest of the day. Yeah, it was quite bipolar. Once again, the 1225 put on a show. I think this year, even though the Kerwood Highlander from 2017 is our most popular video, I think the Kerwood Highlander from this year was better. I didn't cut after the 1225 past me because I knew I could make it to my locations with ease, whereas in 2017, I was really unsure and just wanted to get to location, where here you can enjoy the entire train go by. I think I only cut once, and that was after the overpass shot in Ithaca. It was honorable of being number 1, and maybe next year 1225 will make it back to my top 5, but we'll see what happens. Anyhow, hope you all stay on board for another successful 2019. It won't be as good as 2018. I'm putting my foot down. I will not be out every weekend in October. And Action and I have both said that we're going to try and go together a little more places when schedule permits.
And hopefully, this is the year that 1309 finally gets done, because I've been waiting to see that thing get fired up for quite some time.
And well, if that doesn't give it away, I don't know what will, because that definitely is in our schedule.
Sorry, should I not have been that obvious?
Anyhow, Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's. I'm Action.
And I'm Set.